Magandang hapon mga punna. Welcome to Sagot ng SIBOL, our set of interviews where we sit
Wow.
down with young local creatives of all trades and chat about their art whilst answering your burning questions. I'm Mika, your local overthinker, workaholic, poster child of art club, and host once again. And I was fortunate enough to be here with our special guest, Diende or Sam. Noel! Yay!
Hey, thank you, Mika. Um, my name is Diende Noel, or you can call me Sam. Uh, I'm 21. I'm 21. I'm a second year college student from Parañaque City. Yes. Ay, mali, dapat 21-year-old college student from Parañaque City.
Woo! Yeah! Oh my!
Yeah, is that that's who I am. Currently, I'm on a term break. Technically, I'm not in college, so that's another clarification.
Okay, nice. I'm also very honored to be here, so hopefully I won't be completely all over the place today. Thank goodness that this is partially scripted. Anywho,
Yeah.
let's get down to business. Better let's start with some warm-up questions. All the things I'll be asking today were sent by our members through slido.com and or our IG. And speaking of IG, you should follow us at Art Club HU. But now is not the time
Follow
for
them.
self-promotion.
Yes, follow them.
Yeah. Okay. First warm-up question. You probably get this a lot. Where did the name come from?
Okay, so at first it's a really complicated process, but I'm just gonna go say that it first came from my name. The meaning of my name, and I was like, what does that sound like in another language? So I picked up French, and it was Dunton, and it was way too long. No one was pronouncing it. I was like, no, I just shortened it, so it became like Diende, the first part of that name, Diende, and I like it because it also sounds like Duende. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll take it.
Nice. You stuck with the. Actually, that was the first thing that I thought of when I saw Diende, Duende. So,
Duende,
so
yeah.
at least I'm not the first person.
Right.
Okay. Second warm-up question is: what programs do you use to design with?
Oh yeah. It's a lot, actually. So we're talking about now, right? Okay, we're talking about now, like what I use now, because okay. Before I used to use a lot of iPad applications. Now I focus on Photoshop, Illustrator, and Photoshop, Illustrator, Canvas. Time to time if I'm lazy. And now I'm using I'm experimenting with 3D. So I'm working on this thing called Spline. Yeah, Spline. It's like Blender, but I haven't tried Blender yet. So those are what I'm using: Photoshop, Illustrator. Yeah.
I am currently kuripot / broke in English, but I'm just gonna pretend like I relate to that. Yeah, I'm gonna nod in agreement. Okay.
All of them were free. So.
Oh, okay. Sige, let's go now.
Yeah.
Okay. Time for the lengthier questions. Since your part of people may vary, how can I work better in a group? I think it's better if you explain what PMV is before you answer the question.
Yeah. Okay. So PMV is an independent organization. It's currently run by students and a mixed group of students. Most of them are homeschooled, but some of us are already not homeschooled anymore. But basically, what we're trying to do is we're just a group of artists trying to support one another and other artists as well. So it's a very complicated process to work with a group, especially because you have to consider that you have to consider everyone's personality into it. I've definitely butted heads with some people, even back then when I wasn't doing PMV. But the important part about working with others is just being clear about what you want, and then making sure you understood what the others clearly want. And then once you can get through that, even if it has to take some argument to understand that, you will be able to at least work better with them. Yeah.
I should probably take note of this, but like I can't multitask since I'm a very individualistic person and a bit of a control freak. So I'll have to like really take your advice for that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure, noted.
Okay, interesting. I'm sure we have a lot of members who'd actually like to pursue art in the future, so it's understandable that this question would pop up. How do you prepare your design portfolio slash website?
Oh. Okay. So it's a very good question. So right, what I've done so far is I used to have a Behance website, Behance.net, but I took down majority of my posts there because late last year, I checked up on it and I wasn't feeling very appreciative of what I came up with. So I took it down and I just kept like one project there. But I would suggest Behance is a good site to put your stuff up. Um, at least it's a good place to put up your portfolio, and it's very easy. It organizes everything for you. Uh, Aside from Behance, a lot of people are using Card, CAA, I think. Yeah, Card, and I'm planning to use that because because Card is able to host up different. Well, it's able to link up different sites, and I have a lot of scattered websites, and I'm not a very organized person when it comes to promoting myself, so that's why I have so much stuff scattered everywhere, and but yeah, if I were to suggest anyone who's already built up a portfolio, of course, first you have to build that up. You have to make sure that whatever you put in your portfolio is what you think are your best works. And then after that, then you can think about, oh, maybe I'll put it on Card, or I'll put it on Behance. But yeah, I suggest those two sites as much as possible.
Number one, this is not sponsored by Behance.net. Number two, card is spelled with CARRD.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. It's okay. Okay.
I failed the exam.
It's okay, man. This is no, a quiz beat. Okay. Next question is, how do you incorporate your passion for writing into art?
Oh, well, okay. Um, very, very interesting because um, I do try to separate my writing from my design or illustrations. I do tend to have that habit because when it comes to art, I really like to how segregate different mediums because for me that makes it easier for me to perform and work on my projects. So when it comes to my writing, um, I always try to do the writing first. I do think, I used to say this before, like I do believe that writing and design, they may look different, but altogether they're both just about storytelling. You're basically focusing on making a story throughout the design, trying to touch people with whatever you're making. And it's the same thing with writing. Of course, in writing it's a bit more obvious. You're literally trying to tell them something. It may be an essay, it may be something, but it's still a story. It still has to engage the audience. So for me, how I incorporate it to art is I always consider what type of story do I want to show to the people who are viewing my art. So yeah, that's what I do. I always, I cannot, if I cannot get my words right in when I'm making my designs, if I can't, if I can't visualize the words for the design, even if there's no words in it, I don't proceed with the design until I can communicate it to myself. That's what I usually do.
I'm so glad I know you agreed to this interview because one, you're very articulate and well spoken, and two,
Thank you.
man, okay, this is really good advice. Okay. I really like this question since it reminds me of PNV's identity series, which is
Yeah.
how do I find my style in quotation marks and let go of the need to stand out?
I can't answer that because I still feel like standing out. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Um, hmm, it's so funny because when I started, I never thought about style, not at all. Maybe it was because I used to I started my graphic design work, not illustration, but I started my graphic design work in High and Night, um, which is an org that which expected marketing, more of marketing and not really art. So um, I had to come up with designs almost on an every other day basis. I was grinding for like 3 years straight. I don't know how I did that. So when you do that all the time, the style eventually just comes out. It's both your personality and also your method of doing your work that makes up your style. I really suggest that you focus first the on the on the principles of your art, like getting the if it's illustration, you get the anatomy right, you get the shading right, you get the textures right. And if it's not illustration, if it's photography, you get I don't know the what do you call it? I'm gonna skip photography. If you're thinking about writing, yeah, if you think about writing, you think about the form, you think about the essay form, you think about the introduction, the outline, and then once you figure that out, you start to break it. That's how you do it. That's how you figure out your style. But it's not something you should consciously look for because it's gonna mess you up. I've had a lot. I'm not saying that I haven't had a struggle finding my style, but there were certainly times when I started to really ask myself, what am I trying to show here? Like, I ended up thinking that I would only ask that because I wanted to stand out, you know. So um, I really do think that at least on a personal basis, there's a correlation between finding your style and trying to stand out. Because of course, you want your style to look unique. You don't want it to look like another Van Gogh or um, that type of art, you know. So for me, it really came down to just, am I enjoying myself if I'm trying to find my style? Because I found out I was practically terrible. I was practically feeling terrible all the time if I would think about my style. I was like, this does not look like what I want. And every time I would do something, it would just not hit my standard. And so I was just miserable. I if you really want to focus on finding your style, like if you're putting this advice aside, like then go ahead, keep comparing yourself. Keep finding out what others do, try to copy it, and then know that you're never gonna be able to really completely copy that. And somehow, somewhere, you're gonna find your style. But then again, you have to be careful that you don't feel miserable when you always keep comparing yourself to other artists, when you keep comparing your style to other artists, because once you start doing that, you you're gonna tread a line in where you might start disliking doing art entirely. So yeah, I hope that answered the question. I went on a tangent.
Yep, yep, yeah. That
Okay.
definitely answered my question. This isn't actually a question sent from IG, but I just really needed it
Mm-hmm.
since I'm also doing marketing for High Unite at the
Mm.
moment. I
Oh
really
wow!
need advice.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I really need advice on how to gather myself.
Gather yourself. Yeah. You're talking about like gather yourself in your design process. Is that it? Is that it?
Sort of. Since you like you said, you did this for like 3 years. So
Yeah.
how do I not get burned out?
Oh, okay. um, I will tell you what not to do, because for me, I did end up getting burnt out. I was 3 straight years, and I realized the way I approach art now is much more relaxed. Because of all of that grinding, you know, and I kept working and working until I reached like a point where I couldn't feel confident in what I was doing anymore because I was too exhausted. I didn't have new ideas. So my suggestion is number one, um, if you feel like you need to take a break, take it, because they don't. Because yes, it's good to have this sort of portfolio behind you, and you're stacking up this type of design work. But on the other hand, um, they don't owe you anything. So if you don't do anything, they cannot stop you from not doing anything. It's like they don't have a gun to your head. Oh wait, this is recorded. I mean, they don't.
Um.
They don't. They
Okay.
don't. Okay, just yeah. But yeah, that's the number one thing. If you feel like taking a break, like your body needs it, take it. In all honesty, I always give it. I always give that advice now, even to people who are not in like school orgs. Even in college, like and when people ask me what should they do, they're doing too much stuff. I always say just take a break. It's like if it's not dependent on uh, if it doesn't personally cost you anything, it's fine. Just take a break because that's what you're gonna need. Second, okay, you cannot take too much breaks. You can't just come up with a problem and then when you get a block like or an art block, you cannot just go, okay, I'm taking a rest because I can't solve it. Like whatever. There's also the other side of that, and which is you have to confront that problem. But what I do is I confront the problem while I rest. So it's a very, for me, it's a very healthy way to approach an art block. If I'm trying to take a break, I watch stuff that inspires me, or I read stuff that inspires me, or I just go out. Art isn't everything. So if you sit down in your room and you keep making graphic design for 8 hours a day, you're not gonna grow. You have to, of course, literally, you can't go outside now. You can't, you can't go outside. I'm looking at my window. You can't go by the door, I guess, but like, um, you have to you have to take other experiences in life aside from art. That's how you can grow in art. Yeah, because sorry, this is another tangent, but this is what I really believe in. Art is just human expression. That's what it comes down to. That's what it boils down to. And if you if you keep expressing yourself, you're gonna run out of things to express because you're not taking in new things. You're just putting it out, putting it out, putting it out, but you're not trying to take new experiences. And that's what artists often forget. They have to do other stuff aside from the art that they do. So yeah, basically two things. Sorry, two things. Take a break. Second, um, learn other things aside from art. That would really boost you up. And lastly, in when you're really doing the graphic design, Mika, what I would suggest is you come up with a system for yourself. Like um, your designing is always problem solving. You're just trying to figure out how to put information in a way that would catch people's attention. Okay, so when you think of design like that, it starts to become a block of work, which if you put enough solutions into it, you'll be able to figure it out. So make templates, like even if it looks boring. Honestly, if it looks boring, it's fine. Just make a template. It could just be one one block of text on one plain background, but as long as it's a template, it works, and you can just improve the template later on in time because we get too focused on making it perfect. But we just gotta settle with doing it now and then figuring out the perfection later. So make a system for yourself. It's very important that you make a system for yourself. Yeah.
So in summary, I'm just gonna summarize this for the non-existent
Sorry.
audience at the moment. No, it's okay.
Yeah.
It was completely
Okay.
fine. That was really well explained, and we actually
Okay.
have more time. But in summary, take rests, but don't become the definition of an actual sloth. Like, find the
Yes.
balance between those, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that's like point one and two in at this.
We wanted
in
to.
that-
Yeah.
but like the second point is like, art is sort of complicated. You are not your art, and your art is
Right.
not you. You
Exactly.
shouldn't become one, but it's also a big way of expression like you said, art is just human expression. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's the summary of
Yeah.
what we basically just said. Okay, we actually have a lot of questions that came from IG, and unfortunately we can't
Really?
answer them all
Interesting.
today. So we just have to do another rapid fire session. So sorry to put you under a lot of pressure. Try your best to answer these in like 15
try.
seconds. Okay.
Okay.
Kwa, du, ang. Where do you find motivation?
I find motivation in I'm looking at my books. I look at books a lot. I read my books. Yeah, so I tend to read. That's what I do. That's what I do.
Okay. How do you combat procrastination? I don't know either.
Procrastination. I have to. I put an app block on my phone, and I also put an app block on my laptop. So, well, website blocker. So I don't go on any social media sites. I disappear for like majority of the day.
Good. Okay. What's art to you?
Wow. Okay. What's art to me? It's a big leap.
15
Thanks
seconds.
Sure. I mean, okay. Art is for me human expression. Okay. Wait, does that count?
I mean, yeah, sure, why not? Okay. Childhood
Okay.
inspirations for your work.
Childhood inspirations. Okay, comics. No doubt. Comics definitely, and Star Wars. Yeah, I'm a very geeky kid, so all of my influences come from vintage stuff.
Okay. What makes a good designer?
What makes a good designer for me is being a master of method. It's not really about making really good designs. As long as I'm more impressed by people who can just come up with a system for themselves and execute it than people who take so much time and then sorry.
This is the audience. That was just sound effects. Wala lang yun.
Oh, just sound effects, yeah, diba? Okay lang. Oh, okay. So, what was I saying?
Methods, systems,
Methods,
execution.
yes. Yeah. So, it's much more impressive to see people come up with design systems and execute it, even if it's a mediocre level, than people who take days and then, of course, they come up with something great, but it took way over the deadline. Yeah.
Okay. Last, like, rapid fire question. Hype up song for art.
What's Up Danger?
Good. Okay. Man of
yeah.
taste. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's settle down from the rapid fire. We're actually supposed to end this in a
Okay.
while, so here are the last couple of questions.
Oh, that's fast. Okay.
How do you incorporate feedback into designs?
I don't. I'm kidding.
I just blocked myself from.
Just-
blocked myself from the world.
Yeah, I don't want opinions. Are you kidding me? I'm kidding. So, it really depends on the person. For me personally, I am a really harsh critic on myself. I think that's why I take down a lot of posts. People don't always see it. I post stuff on my Instagram, and then maybe an hour later I take it down because it's like, you know what, I'll just post it like a month later. That's
I
always
regret
how I do
everything.
stuff. Yeah, I regret everything. I think, and then I always see that's like my problem too. I always see some tiny detail that I do not like, and then I take it down. I take it off my portfolio because I want to redo it. But I guess when it comes to taking feedback, if it's not from me, I always ask people what first strikes them about what I made, and if there's anything that they felt um, was weird or was something that they didn't personally like, because it's very hard to come across people also who have the same eye, or at least somewhere at the same eye as you for these types of stuff, whether it's in writing or in design. So most often, I just ask people who I have a trusted ring of friends. There's like 2 to 3 people who I think can judge my stuff on a pretty high basis, and then I have some people whom I send it to with also just like 2 to 3 friends, um, and I just send it to them, and I just ask what their general opinion is, and then I try to think about whether or not what they said was important to consider, and if it's not important to consider, I then criticize it. I do. I am the last boss. I check it out, and then and then if it seems to work, I post it. Yeah.
Perfectionism is sort of like a double-edged sword, so
Yeah.
it can be a blessing and a curse. Okay.
Exactly.
I think this is a good question to end this discussion. It's a common one, but I think you'll have something interesting to say about it, which is,
Okay.
what is the best advice you've gotten, and where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah, I saw that question. I was like, I don't know what to answer that one, but it's funny because one of the things that was told to me, which I remember the most, was with great power. I'm kidding. um, I'm not gonna do that. I was having a portfolio. I was having a portfolio assessment one time with my coordinator, and what she told me was really important for me, because it's not really related to art. It's more related to my life, and I really saw that it was something be I should be careful with, because she told me, I was explaining to her all of these things, all of my portfolios and whatnot, and then she told me, I think you live so far in the future that you forget to live now. And I was like, what? I was like, what? Sorry? Did you just attack me? Like,
I'm sorry, I'm hurt.
yeah, like it's so important, because for me personally, I always daydream of what I'm gonna do tomorrow, or what I'm gonna think, or what I'm gonna do next week, what I'm gonna do next year. I'm always thinking ahead, and sometimes that does, and like it is also a double-edged sword. It helps me figure out what I want to do, but also it keeps me from forgetting to live now, from appreciating what's happening now. And I always remember that quote. It's actually Rachel's mom, Teacher Peach. Yeah. So if she hears this, thank you, Teacher Peach.
Shout out to teacher. Yes, to Rachel's mom.
Yeah, yeah, to Rachel's mom. So yeah, that was very important for me. But 5 years from now, I don't know what's gonna happen. I feel like there might be Mad Max. Like, I think Philippines might turn into a Mad Max world. Who knows, right? Who knows? So, but if that doesn't happen, I do see myself somewhere. Maybe I'll be working in a company for some time, just doing IT stuff. But hopefully it doesn't end there, because I really want to teach. I really want to teach, be a teacher, and I think that's really what God and what my heart is always aching to do. So yeah, hopefully in 5 years I get somewhere closer.
And those two images are sort of really contrasting, like Professor Noel, and then there's the apocalyptic wasteland person.
Right? You just gotta prepare,
Yeah, be flexible. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, that was the end. So once again,
Wow,
thank you
that
for
was
coming.
so fast.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm so sad. Okay, thank you for coming down here to talk, and we at SIBOL and Hyanite wish you the absolute best in your artistic endeavors, and
Thank you,
thanks for making some of the most iconic HU designs and being a big influence on the Hyanite look.
Thank
Yay.
you.
Oh, Okay, and thank you for tuning into this SNS with our wonderful guest. Unfortunately, the next one is going to be the last one in a while, but fear not, we'll be back with more Sabog interviews in the next school year. I know this interview is going to be released the day before Valentine's, so I hope you have a decent one. Make sure to tell your loved ones how much they mean to you, and I shall
Yeah.
now go back to my hobbit hole. God bless, take care, and goodbye!
Bye. Thank you.